We're going to take the Spyder out for a drive in a few minutes, but there's a couple of things you might want to do before you fire it up. One of them might be check the oil. So in the real Porsche 718 race cars, the rear body shell is in two pieces. There's the top piece that's normally held down with Zeus connections, and then there's the lower body that pulls off the back of the car and requires quite a bit of mechanics to do that, which is easy to do if you've got a factory racing team with a lot of mechanics swarming all over the car at Le Mans, but maybe in your garage or at the gas station when you want to check the oil or whenever, you'd like something simpler. So the way that I went at this is made it so the whole panel lifted up. It's accomplished by releasing two latches, one here, one on the other side, and then a couple of latches here that are driven by a screwdriver, or if you had the real latch key, you could use that. I think you can buy an authentic latch key for a few $100s, but the old Craftsman works fine. To unlock it, turn it towards the inside of the car on that side, towards the inside of the car on that side, and release this other latch. Once you've done that, the body's ready to lift up. So one thing you need to do first is kind of get it to pre-release. To do that on the driver's side, lift up, get it loose, let it sit up so the body's, out of line here. Then just kind of hop in the car with the knee on the seat and lift the whole body back. Once you've done that, you've got the whole engine available to you to check the oil, or as I did not too many miles ago, I actually completely refurbished the whole top end of the engine with cleaned up the cylinders, new perfect circle piston rings on the pistons, brand new CB mini wedge ported heads, and did the whole job with the engine sitting right here. I didn't even have to pull the engine because I have so much access to the rear end. Putting the shell back down again is simply reversing the process. Grab it here, bring it on down, swing it, let it latch itself into place. Put down your clip. Lock your clamps. Twisting to the outside. And it's ready to go down the road. A spin real quick here to open the door. Pretty simple. Like this, open it in. Getting in, and you just drop into it like a shoe. The way I do it is I go in like this. I sit on this part here, like that. Put my other foot in, and then just get down, drop in, and I'm there. On the dash, these two toggles are the lights. The bottom toggle is for the lights on, and the top toggle is for high beams. This toggle is ignition. This button over here is the starter button. Now we're going to come from a dead cold start. We haven't run the car, we haven't driven the car or run the car for the better part of 2 or 3 weeks at this point. So when we turn on the ignition, which starts the fuel pump, we kind of want to let it run for a minute to fill the carburetors. You'll hear the fuel pump running. The red light is an indication that the ignition's on, but the engine's not running. Of course, it's pretty much like on any car. And the way to start it on a dead cold start like this, and it's a warm day, but the process is about the same when it's 40 degrees. You just may want to pump the gas pedal a few more times. Remember, these engines do not have an automatic choke, so you have to kind of nurse them to life. So we've had enough time now to fill the carburetors if they happen to have evaporated over the weeks that we haven't run it. Push in the clutch, of course, press the starter switch, pump it a couple times, half down, and it starts right up. Now for warm up, what I like to do is kind of keep it up here around 2,000 RPM until it stops huffing and chuffing. Well, it's a warm day today, so there's not a lot of huffing and chuffing. back it on down slowly to like 1500 or all the way down. It's running pretty good for a cold start right here. So one of the other things that you want to do is you can see the oil pressure's up, but the oil temperature is cold. You don't want to do any hard revving on the engine until the oil temperature comes up at least past 100. We've got a high pressure oil pump in here, and you don't want to overpressure the lines like the oil filter or something like that, even though it does have a racing oil filter in it. But that's what's on the dash. There's not a lot left to do. You can honk the horn and adjust your rearview mirror, and other than that, you're pretty much on the way after it warms up a little bit. I have idle set to be about 1100 RPMs. You can see it's barely hanging in there now. It'll be higher after it warms up. And the reason for that has a lot to do with the Del Ordo 48 tri-jet carburetors. They're really big carburetors for this engine, and in order for it to idle fairly well, you have to crack the carburetors at least somewhat, and with the big throats, that means that you're going to have a little bit higher than your 900 or 800 RPM. But 1100 is the number, and it's warming up pretty good about now. So, like I said, don't rev it unless the oil pressure comes up or the oil temperature comes up. Okay, so we'll be ready to go in a few minutes after it warms up, and if you click to another video, we'll see you on the road.